Guide to Having It All, and the Vice President of the International Life and Executive Coach Certification Company, the Certified Coaches Federation. Celia also partners with major brands who love women as the face, voice, and leader of the everyday modern woman, such as Johnson & Johnson and The Honest Company. Is that Olay? Honest Company, huge fan. No animal testing, I love them. Celia is also the mother of 2 girls and Ava and Layla, and wife and partner to Joe for 18 years. That's admirable right there. She currently resides in South Central Los Angeles and is very active in her community. Please welcome Celia Ward-Wallace, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We're going to maneuver microphones and such.
Okay, before we get started, why don't we all put our arms in the air and stretch. You've been here getting so much fitness all day long. Do a little neck rolling.
I want you to be awake for me, okay? How are we doing?
Awesome.
Yeah? Everything's good? Everything what you expected or more? More. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Is this my gadget? Everybody's saying left. Let me just test it out. Which button? Left button. All right, here we go. Okay, so I don't usually stand behind a podium. So I'm Celia Ward-Wallace. I am a coach, speaker, author. My joy, my passion is empowering women to know their greatness, know their worthiness, know that they have everything they need within themselves. And that comes all the way from the everyday woman, that's standing in line at Target, all the way up to the influencers and the CEOs and the international coaches and speakers. So I like to touch the lives of women all the way around their path, wherever they are in the journey, and sort of inspire them to reconnect with what is already within themselves when they think that they need to look somewhere without going within. It's all on the outside, right? So also I'm a mommy, like we said. I have 2 little girls, and I am crazy about my husband and wife. I love my man, and life is good. So what I want to talk to you about today is really about how to find your purpose, how to find your calling, what your soul's journey is all about. And as I was thinking about that and listening to everybody's presentation, I thought I wanted to run out to the car. You may have noticed that I left. And I thought about, I wanted to offer a meditation. I wanted us to go deep within so that all the things that I'm talking to you about will be relevant to you. So, without you guys all falling asleep on me, I want to take you to maybe experience something you haven't experienced before. Some of you may consider yourselves spiritual, soulful people. Some people may be atheists. And as it was said earlier, we're inclusive here. So wherever you are on the map, it's all good. This is not a religious experience. This is about you reconnecting with yourself. So if you can just hang in there with me, I'm going to do a meditation for you, and I think you're really going to like it. And this is something later that I want to give to you for free. I realized I got to record it and email it to you, but this was written just for today, just now in the car. Okay, so if you can all put your legs on the ground, uncross your legs, uncross your arms, get really comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and just begin to breathe deeply. Breathe into your chest. Everybody just relax. We begin this meditation with the intention of connecting you to yourself, to nature, to your incredibly divine manifestation potential. This potential that lives within you and within all things. And we are going to unlock this potential and tap into it together today. Let's get started by sinking into your breath, into your heartbeat, into feeling where you are right now right here. You'll feel what you're sitting on. You'll feel your heartbeat in your chest. You'll feel your breath in your body. Start with a gratitude for your body and all the things that it does, consciously and unconsciously, to support you every minute of every day. So many of those things without you even trying, just by being. As we are tapping into our body, let's be aware of our energy body, the energy center within us. Maybe even that energy center at the base of the spine, that sacral energy. It has a color, it has a temperature, it has a vibration, and a sound. Explore for a minute how that energy moves through your body, vibrating outward, creating beautiful resonance within and without. Let's take that energy and imagine it's like a taproot going straight down, out of your body, out of that sacral sweet spot, down into the center of the earth. Notice as it heads down how it passes through so many strata of the earth, all things, all resources, all temperatures, colors, passing down, 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 until it reaches the center of the earth. This incredible bounty of resources, this flow of all things. Notice as your energy reaches that place and begins to return back upwards, how it brings with it a little bit of each of those layers it has touched. Incredible potential, support, energy. Draw those back up with the energy as it returns up through the layers. Up, 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 back into that sacral center of your body. Allowing that energy to go higher and higher, up through your body, up through your crown. Let it continue to extend higher, higher, and higher, past the treetops, the clouds, the sun, the ethers, out into the great beyond, where there is no time. There is only oneness, and all things are connected. Notice the shift in temperature or color as your energy has risen higher and higher up into the oneness. And now draw that energy back down again. Notice how you bring with it stardust, magic, mystery, a place where there is no time, there is no separation, there is only potential and magic. Only the alchemy of spirit blending through the stars, back down, down, back down, right down, back through your crown, into your body, past your heart, back to that solar plexus center within. Notice how at this place it all begins to blend and merge. Those earthly resources, that grounding, that foundation, the power and potential of the ethers, blending like currents in a sea, swirling and mixing incredible power and potential right there within, powerfully, yet peacefully. Envision for a moment now that you are surrounded by a field of dandelion flowers. Remember them from childhood, the wonder and the mystery and the fun. See them all around you, being touched by the sun, the wind, shining their magical faces at you, and you reach out to them. Allow yourself to pick one. Feel it in your hands, the stem. Remember the excitement and potential of holding one in your hand as you bring it closer to you. Allow that magical alchemy blended energy from your solar plexus to extend out into that beautiful dandelion flower. Like you moved that energy from within and out into the flow. It is flow, it is extension, creating a circuit between you and the flower, a beautiful exchange. And as the flower appears to extend and expand to hold that beautiful potential, that beautiful energy, begin to take a deep breath, a deep, cleansing, filling breath. Hold that dandelion flower up to your mind's eye, to your pursed lips, and exhale. Remembering in your mind's eye the magic of watching that dandelion flower disperse. Each little dandelion flower parachute flying off into the wind, watching them float like radiant bubbles, being carried in a collective but individual space, into the ethers, away, carrying with it special magic, special intention, special wishes, and special power. Sending them off, allowing them to do what they were sent here to do, not striving, not yearning, allowing themselves to be carried by the wind, by the elements, by their own internal, divinely designed instructions, being carried, being supported, off to fulfill their own purpose and destiny. As you watch them float away, give them an extra nudge of gratitude, an extra nudge of love. Notice how you release them. I'm a really good laser coach. So if you have a problem and you need a solution and you need it in 1 minute, we can knock it out. Okay, so start thinking if you have things that you want to talk about. And just like Katrina was saying earlier, I believe in call and repeat and interaction and stuff. So if you feel called, let me know that you're with me. I'm going to go on this side though. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so I believe that we all have a unique purpose. I believe that we're here for a specific experience in this lifetime. And whether you look at yourself as an individual or as a soul, I believe that there's certain experiences, certain lessons, certain challenges, certain successes that we're created to experience. And then through those experiences, that's where the growth comes from. And through the growth, that's how we serve other people, with sharing our tests in our testimonies. Okay? So I'm going to share with you my journey of how I sort of started to figure out all my stuff. I am from Los Angeles. My parents are full-time civil rights activists. Does anybody know what a civil rights activist you remember back in the 60s? Yeah? Okay. So my mom was a WASP, a Southern WASP, which, you know, maybe not everybody knows what that means, white girl, but from the South. And she was in Berkeley at Cal, and she became a part of the feminist movement, the women's liberation movement in the 60s. My dad was Jewish, and he was in New York, and he became one of the founding members of CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality. And so they both simultaneously had their own paths going towards social justice. And my dad was knocking doors in Harlem, getting people, you know, organized to be a part of the movement for, you know, equality and in particular Black rights. My mom was doing the same thing, but for the feminist movement. They ended up having a sliding doors moment where my dad, her sister 3 weeks out of the year at this time, took her to Mexico with him on a summer vacation. My mom took my grandmother, who at 55 had just divorced my grandfather of 30 years, as part of the result of the women's liberation movement. She finally woke up and said, you know, I don't want to be a socialite, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, I want to be somebody, I want to find myself, even if it's at 55 years old. So they went off to Mexico, and my grandmother, who is like a cougar, she saw she saw my dad, and my dad is fine, and he had this big curly afro, and he had, dark skin, and she thought he was Mexican, and she was like, hey, come over here, and they started talking. She invites him to dinner, and he says, I can come as long as I can bring my daughter. And she says, oh, great, well, I'll bring my daughter. So they go to dinner, and of course, it's like lust at first sight. And then, remember it's the 60s, what was going on then? Drugs and sex. So that's exactly what happened for a week. It was drugs, sex, and politics. And my parents fell in love and had this mad love affair where they talked all day long about their core values, which were fighting for those less privileged than them. And they had this amazing connection, and they separated and went back their separate ways, and they said, well, for the next 6 months, we're going to write to each other every day. And if after 6 months we're still crazy about each other, somebody will move. So they did that. My dad moved to the Bay Area, and they began their life committed to social justice. And even though they both eventually went on to get PhDs, and my mom has a PhD and my dad has a master's degree, and technically on paper had a ton of privilege. And this is a topic I talk a lot about, is privilege. So some people understand that concept, some people think of it in a sense of like related to gratitude, but privilege are all the ways that you have things that you were born into by lifestyle that give you advantage over other people in the world. So whether it's, your sexual orientation, whether it's your gender, whether it's your ethnicity, whether it's your class, whether you chose it or not, whether you feel guilt about it or not, you can't hide the fact that there's certain things that get us ahead whether we want it to or not in life. So my parents could have gone and got corporate jobs. They could have gone and just done what they were supposed to do, work in academia or something. But instead, they said, no, we want to be of the people. We can't help the people if we're not of the people. So they created their own communal organization, and they got involved in the auto factory, helping union workers fight for better wages, better standards of care. And in Van Nuys in Los Angeles, there was the UAW, which was United Auto Workers, fought for 8 years to keep the General Motors plant open. And my parents were one of the 2 people that were doing that. So my mom was pregnant on the assembly line with me as, she's like drilling the bits for 8 hours on a day, the same, if these jobs, it's crazy that people do this, they literally, are doing the same motion over and over and over all day. And back then, these are the jobs we're talking about now, like where are our manufacturing jobs, union jobs, that people get paid $18 an hour and be able to survive and feed their families. So that was why they were fighting to keep the plant open, was because all these primarily people of color were struggling with the prospect of not having work, especially if they were blue collar workers and didn't have the education and the privilege that my parents did. So all of this to say, this is the backdrop of who I am, and you may have gotten a chance to talk to me today. You might have had some question marks trying to figure out me, but it explains a lot of my soul. It explains a lot of my ability to connect with so many different people and have that comfort zone, because I grew up in a home where it was like the United Nations, it was like every day, 4 different languages, people of all different cultures, all brought their kids over, and my parents were in the thick of things about creating things that they were fighting for. So I have this service mentality. Luckily, for those of us who are entrepreneurs, when you come from a service mentality, you also have a lot of limiting beliefs about money. That you can't be an entrepreneur and make money if you want to be of service to people. So the good news is that I've rearranged my wealth consciousness. But what I didn't realize is that all of the things that were part of my life are now what created my career for me. And what I ended up doing was I went to school. I went to UCLA because my parents were sort of lower income, and we struggled with money in the household. I had all of these limiting beliefs about money, and I had so much fear about money that when I went to college and I graduated, my thought was, I'm going to get the safest job I can get. with pension and benefits and be set for life. How many of you can relate to that desire for safety and security, right? It's like a trap. We were talking about it at our table today. It's like if you don't very quickly get out there and do something that you're excited about or take risk, when you wake up at 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and you go, oh, holy crap, this life doesn't feel aligned to me, it's very hard to figure out how to take that risk and to feel okay leaving something that is really comfortable. So that's exactly what I did. I got a city job. I was making $60,000 a year at 21. Promoted 4 times within the city. And I just thought, hey, I can do this with my eyes closed. It takes about 5% of my energy. Maybe out of a day, 1 hour of the day, I'm actually doing work. It's not too bad. And so I just thought I would kick it there and, collect a paycheck until I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. I always knew that I had greatness within me. I always was extremely passionate leader, somebody that, had a lot of confidence, but I just never knew what I was supposed to do with my life. So I wasn't going to take a risk and try things when I had this ace in the hole. Well, I met my husband right around the same time. My husband is 14 years older than me. He's African American. And he had come out of real poverty. Like I had food in my fridge, but he had sometimes not had food in his fridge. He had come from a household without a father. He had to be the one that was, 13 years old trying to figure out how to make it work for the family. So his mentality was this total risk taker and entrepreneur. And he was just like, by the time I met him, he had already been married and divorced. He had 3 kids. He had been homeless as an adult, lived in his car, painted numbers on the curb for $5 at each home, and continually was resilient and reinvented himself. And so I really believe that he was one of my first teachers about how to look at life with a, anything is possible perspective, and really understand that you can think outside the box. When you live in so much fear, it's very hard to believe that there's something else out there for you. So, fast forward, my husband and I hook up. It's a beautiful story. We don't have enough time. Maybe at drinks, I'll tell you all about it. But, we're like this overnight. We're a team, we're a power couple, everything. He has this idea, let's jump into the real estate market. This is before anybody knew that it was hot to do real estate. He had the vision. So for a $5,000 loan from my grandmother, we went and bought our first property. It was $72,000. After we paid everything, we were clearing $500 a month. And this was like brilliant, cha-ching. So what did? We rinse and repeat. And so we grew our business until it was a $5 million real estate business. And you would think we were super happy, right? No, we weren't. And so this again is this pattern. If you hear it over and over again, you might hear it from me, you might hear it from Katrina, you might have heard it from some of the other speakers. It's the same message, which is we think all this stuff outside of us make us happy. Well, for me, since we were so at odds in our money perspective, we fought all the time. He wanted to expand, I wanted to contract. He wanted to take risk, I wanted to be safe. He wanted to invest in mentors and advisors and all of this fancy stuff, and to me, that just scared the life out of me. So it wasn't working, but on paper it was. On paper we had all this money and we were traveling the world and we were keeping up with the Joneses. In fact, we were the Joneses. People wanted to be us. We were the model couple. And I started to realize that I was not happy. Simultaneously, my husband was like, I'm going to get a good city job too. He goes and becomes a firefighter with LAFD at 40 years old. So, a 40-year-old black man getting on with the city as a firefighter is, a major accomplishment. I'm sure you understand. Within 6 months on the job, you may or may not have heard about this. This is about 10 years ago. He was one of about 10 other guys that faced racial harassment and discrimination on the job. So the way that happened for him was on it was a bunch of different things, but it culminated on one particular day. They had him wear 100 pounds of equipment, go up on a roof where it was 110 degrees outside in the valley, and for 8 hours on end, do these heavy lifting drills over and over and over and over and over again until his clavicle separated from his chest. Over, in a split second, a career-ending injury. It was terrible. And simultaneously, the real estate market crashed, right? This is literally the exact same time. So here, I have my honey, who I love so much. He's Mr. Positivity, thinks he's Tony Robbins. And, losing his career, losing his spirit. And then the real estate market crashed, and overnight we go from so-called millionaires to looking at foreclosure on almost all of our properties and having to decide to file for bankruptcy. Talk about the shame in that. So what happened is that it was a really dark time. Really, really dark time. And maybe you can relate to this. I don't know if you can. When it's time, let me know. But my husband, one of the tools that he taught me, which I think is a really good one, is all about self-reliance. Like how do people, all of my girlfriends, had this thing called faith. And faith in themselves, faith in the higher power, faith in a plan for their life. And I was like, that seems so cool. I want that for myself. But how do you get that? Because I was smart enough to know, and you guys know, like it's not just something that, you just can go, oh, I want some faith. Okay, I got it now. You got to work it. You got to work it and own it and learn how to do it. And so for me, I went on this journey of connecting science and spirituality and taking little bits of things that made sense to me. So like energy and, being present and, just little tools that I was like, oh, okay, I understand that. That makes sense to me. And then I expanded it and I was like, I'm going to start studying world religion and world spiritual practices. And I started taking little tips from Buddhism about meditation or, quieting your mind or things like that. So I started making this formula of all the things that made sense to me. This is my philosophy on life and world and death and purpose and everything. All these things that made sense to me, and I started to get the language with it, right? How could I talk about this to people? How could I know what I think about it? And then what were the practices? Because the problem is we do a lot of theory. We have a lot of ideas, but nobody's actually doing it, right? So we have to actually take action on our soulful practices, okay? So it means every day carving out that time in your day to connect with yourself. And if you believe in God and you want to connect with God, taking the time to connect with God too, right? You have to protect that time every single day like it's a gift, because that sets the tone for everything. That's where you create the alignment. That's where you create the flow. That's where you create the harmony. And getting back to it being within yourself, that's how you know who the heck you are, and you can pay attention. Like if it's a tool like journaling, like so for me, every day, what do I do every day? I take time to sit in silence with my eyes closed for 10 minutes or so. I pray. I do my gratitude, list, and I write in my journal whatever is going on with me. And I just write and write and write until I've dumped every single thing out there. But then I have a pretty good idea of what's going on with me, right? And if I don't, that's what I'm asking for help with. I'm saying, hey, can you help me understand these lessons that I'm facing, these challenges that I'm going through, what the message in this is? Because I really believe everything that you experience has a message in it. And sometimes it's a whisper. And when you're really aligned and you're on track and you're in flow with yourself and where you're supposed to be, then you hear the whisper because you're conscious, you're awake. You're saying, this one right here in the black shirt, what's your name? Straight ahead. I'm talking, pointing at you, girl. We've been looking at each other all day. Oh, well, sorry. I can only see the top. What's your name? Kim. Kim is giving me some bomb energy. So I'm knowing that she and I are vibing, okay? And that is telling me, keep going. Keep preaching. If all that it is that Kim needed to hear, this is making me cry, but if all it is that Kim needed to hear the word today, right? That's why I'm here. But I'm paying attention to that. I'm not just up here thinking, oh, I'm so good, everybody's looking at me, and da-da-da-da. I'm saying, no, who out here needs to hear this? And how can I serve them, right? But that's where the alignment comes in. You hear the whispers. I just heard her whisper. But if you don't hear it, it gets louder. It gets louder. And, whether you look at it as universe, yourself, God, whatever, you got to get hit upside the head to have the wake-up call. So for me, these life crises that people would say, holy crap, I can't believe you've been through what you've been through, or some of the other testimonies of what people have been through, we've all been through a lot, right? Yes. But if you have the perspective of, those were the experiences I was supposed to have. That was what I needed to learn. I needed to grow from that. That's how I'm going to turn around and talk to my sister next to me and know what she needs. I'm going to know how to serve her because I've been through some dark times, but I persevered. I figured out who I am. I figured out what my purpose is about. So I firmly believe that we all have a purpose. So through my journey, that's how I found my purpose. I did all the spiritual practices. I created a lifestyle of alignment, and I began to find my way to coaching. I thought I loved therapy. I was in and out of therapy. I'm a big therapy advocate. You should all do some therapy, okay? If you don't. And if you're in LA, I have some good resources for you that are affordable. So I have been in and out of therapy forever. I thought I wanted to be a therapist, and I looked into the hours, and I decided I didn't want to do that. Well, hold on. The reason being, because I had already thought that what I was supposed to do was go to graduate school, because somebody with all of my privilege should not waste that. And I'm expected to go to graduate school. That's what we do, women like me. Okay? And so when I went to figure out what graduate school I should go to, I was looking at the list of all the choices. MBA, at that time I was an entrepreneur, really. Well, I had a business, but I don't love it. So it was like, become a therapist? No. Oh, law school. Okay. I think that's the one, because that's when people told me my whole life I was supposed to be a lawyer. So since I had heard that my whole life from everybody else, not from within, but from everybody else, I thought, well, I gotta make a choice. I'm gonna go do this, even though I don't wanna be a lawyer. But I think I'm supposed to at least get the degree, so I'm gonna do it. So I'd already gone to school at night for 4 years, part-time, while working my city job and running this real estate business and taking care of my husband falling apart, only to do what I already knew I was gonna do, which was sit for the bar pass and not practice. Because I didn't want that life. I wanted a life of fun. I wanted a life of freedom. I wanted a life of flexibility and of love we were talking about. Because what I realize now is that all of the gifts that I had my entire life are what now I have built a thriving career around, which is I love people. I love to love. I love to be loved. I love to connect. I know how to do this. I know how to do it well. That's why I'm a community builder. That's why I'm a connector, because I love women. I come from a place of abundance. I know that there's enough for all of us to go as big as we freaking want to go. And it's not going to take anything from me. It's not going to take anything from you. If anything, it's going to make this world so bomb and heal everybody, because we're all living big, right? We're all living big. We're all hungry and passionate and crazy, world changers. It's so good. So all of that to say, I started to figure out that I had this path. It brought me to coaching. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what a coach is, you've seen a lot of coaches up here. You may be thinking you might want to be a coach, but just so you know what it is, it's like a therapist, it's like a consultant, but basically it's somebody who collaborates with you on creating a vision for whatever it is, whether it's life, whether it's business, whether it's love, whatever it is. Together you guys come here. It's an innovative partner. It's someone who helps you shift perspective. It's someone who says, just because that's what you think you should do does not mean that's what you're supposed to do. What do you want to do? Go back. Go back deeper. Go back deeper. That's why I started with the meditation. If you go back to where I was taking you to in that meditation, it is that part of you that you came in this journey with, that beautiful soul. We all come into this planet with like all this joy. Sometimes we face some sort of neglect or abuse or trauma, absolutely. But most of us at least come in okay, most of us. And so then when we come in, we are this beautiful soul, so full of possibility, so full of purpose and excitement and joy and playfulness. And then life intervenes and crazy stuff happens. Bad experiences, good experiences, limiting programming, and we lose our connection with who we are. And we think that it's gone. We think that we can't get it back. And we want it back so bad, right? We just want to be who we're supposed to be. And the challenge is that we don't know where to find her. And so we start looking for her in every shiny object, every opportunity, every person, everything that comes around. We're like, oh, well, maybe if I look real cute, I'm going to feel real good. You know, now don't get me wrong, I like looking cute, but we all know you could look cute and be in a room of women like this and the whole time be looking at everybody else thinking, she's so much better than me, and oh my God, I feel like nothing, and nobody wants to talk to me, and I'm not good enough, right? So it's all about the inner work. It's all about understanding that she is still within. That version of you that you want to be is right there. You just have to own it. You just have to be okay with who you are and know that that's what the world wants from you, is for you to show up fully yourself. If every single woman in here was uniquely, originally, specifically who she was supposed to be instead of trying to be something or trying to look like something, that's what we want for this world, right? We want these beautiful souls that bring so much originality and passion and purpose and excitement, and it's all within you. So if you start looking for it outside of you, remember to go back in. It's all within you. So in terms of you finding your own purpose, here's some things. I like tangible things. I'm a coach, and part of what I do as a coach, I see a lot of people, not today, everybody's amazing today, but what you'll find is people don't give enough value, and I like to give value. So I like to give you actually some things to do, some takeaways. And some things you can do, some of you might feel like, I already know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm on my path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Hallelujah, I'm with you. We're soul sisters. The rest of you that feel a little bit lost and maybe feel like, when she said I'm stuck in that, corporate job, she's speaking to me. Here are some tools that might help you to figure out what your soul's purpose is. So start making a list of everything that you've been through in your life. Darkness to light. Every one of those twists and turns, all of the ebbs and flows, it has a purpose. It has a meaning. That's where the magic lives. And write them down and think about, when I was 14, I was molested. When I was 19, I dropped out of college. When I was 27, I got divorced. When I was 35, I got to be in Celia. And I'm hoping the fact that I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I feel connected with you all, and I am putting a lot of thought into how I can serve you, that I'm going to deliver something meaningful to you. And you could do the same thing. So start thinking about what are the things that are like, no-brainer. I got that. Been through it. Can help somebody inside and out with that. Also, make a list of some of the skills that come most effortlessly to you since you were born. So like for me, I'm a communicator. Verbal communication, love it. You can see I like to talk. And I love to talk to people. And so, of course, I should be a coach because I was already doing this. I was already having my girlfriends come over and sit on my couch, and I was helping them change their life. So if I know I was talking over there to you and some of the other people in the room about people who are like, had this light bulb moment of like, wait a minute, I'm not getting paid. You seem like you're getting paid to coach. I've been coaching people left and right. Or we were talking last night in your organization about, she's like, I'm a coach in my organization. I'm an executive coach in my organization. So if you work for an organization and you're doing leadership training and workshops and seminars and that's your wheelhouse, then you can be a coach. But also think about, like, for me, it's like speaking, writing. That's why I wrote a book. That's why I like to talk. Like, that's why I like to give speeches. So those are things, but I did them my whole life. Because of the way I was raised by my parents, I was so comfortable being a leader and standing in front of a crowd and motivating and getting people going. So start thinking, these may not be your skills. Your skills might be, I love electronics and technology. I could do it in my sleep. I love art. You know, I don't get paid for it, but if I sit down at a table and there's crayons and markers and paints and whatever, I could be there all day long and be the happiest person ever. Don't come from a place of how am I going to make money doing it. Come from a place of what you are most drawn to and start making a list of all of the things. Okay, ladies, when you have a chance, can you begin passing out those flyers? Because I'm going to give you an actual worksheet that you can take home that has some of this material. You're welcome to give me feedback. Hopefully it's helpful. But so make a list of all of those things. And as you go through it, I want you to start thinking about, okay, what's my number one? What's my number two? What's my number three in terms of ideas or things that you'd like to explore to see if they're possibly your next thing. And that's one of the things you were saying in your workshop. I think how many, it was 11 jobs, 7 careers, 1 lifetime?
Right.
Boom. That was a good slide. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so, but if we think about it, it's for what's for you right now. It doesn't need to be like the end all be all. And also, if you have a 9 to 5, hold on to your 9 to 5, okay? Don't get scared about what we're saying is go leap out there and leave your job and can't pay your bills and all that stuff. No, this is about creating a side hustle, a hobby. Begin with it from a hobby perspective or volunteering. We got the Make-A-Wish Foundation here. I'm sure they need more volunteers. So think about, do I love children? Maybe Make-A-Wish is where you begin. I have 1 hour a month. What can I do with that? Somebody's going to need your help. Okay, so begin with it as a hobby, and then go through your list. Start with your favorite one. Do it as a hobby. If you love it, then pick up another couple hours. And if you love it again, maybe pick up another opportunity. Maybe you take a class, right? Maybe you expand your knowledge base. Get a certification in it. Those are very low-cost steps, low-risk steps. This helps you begin to get clarity. And as you do that, you can also begin to cross things off the list. You can say, like for me, I love design. So if you go to my house, I'm all about bold. I got like yellow walls, black and white stripes everywhere. I love new pillows. And so I love design. I thought about being a designer. And then I played with it for a second. And then I was like, no, I just like to do it for myself. So I crossed it off the list. I thought about being a counselor. And I looked into it. Also, I realized I like interaction. I like collaboration. So that's what I like about being a coach is I can tell you what I think. We can have a conversation. I could tell you about the stuff I've been through to try and help you. Whereas therapists, have to sort of keep it together and not give opinions and not tell people what to do. So I was like, no, I don't think that's it for me, right? So that's how you make your way through all of the possibilities. And then you explore it and you look at it as though you're just making an investment of time until you find something that you really like. And then when you get to the point where you're like, ding, 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 I'm at night, having dreams about this. I'm telling people at my work or in my church or whatever, like, oh my God, I took this class. It's the bomb. I love it. Like, I'm so good at this. I can see myself doing it. Like, I'm wanting to meet this person and that person and take this class and take it all to the next level. It's like, okay, now you're getting into your zone of genius. Okay, so you may or may not have heard of this term before, but the zone of genius is where you're supposed to live.
Love it.
If you are not living in your zone of genius, no judgment. Don't get into the negative self-talk. Don't break yourself down and go, oh shit, I'm not living in my zone of genius. Celia said I gotta live in my zone of genius. Dang. Okay, screw it. I'm just gonna not do anything. No, just realize that you're supposed to find your way because you're created for it, because it's your soul's purpose, because it makes you so happy and feel so good about everything. It's so fun. Like you have to do it. You know, you're like, oh, I've got called to do it. So remember that there is that place too. There is a place of the full-time entrepreneur, and I'm not trying to sway you from that. I just want you to know it's a full-time commitment, and it's a mind game. Okay, you got to get your mind right before you make that leap, because the demons will pop back up. Just because everybody looks all glossy and shiny and has books and pop-up banners does not mean that we don't have doubts, fear, worry, anxiety, months where revenue's down, we can't pay the bills. Like, it's real. Okay, let's keep it real. I cannot stand these people who are making it seem like it's so easy and make $10,000 a month and just do this and you're going to be so good. Like, that is not the real. The real is if you love it, you were created for it, you're ready for the commitment, you have some other kind of financial support or savings or whatever, and a business plan and a strategy, go for it. In the meantime, do it at nights and weekends. Okay? That's what I did. I stayed at my job for 3 years after I became a coach. So I became a certified coach. I think that's my next slide. I'm not a big slide person, if you haven't told. I like to be more in church setting. Okay, so I stayed at my job for 3 years, working nights and weekends. The company that I became certified with is a 2-day weekend course. It is for people who already have career experience, academic experience, entrepreneurship experience, and who think that adding coaching would be a good component for their bag of tricks. Okay, Danielle is my star graduate. That's how come I'm here. Okay, because as a result of her becoming a certified coach with me, and then coming to my Women's Night Out workshops, and then her own community of support and amazing mentors and colleagues she has in the room, she got the vision that she wants to create women's empowerment workshops, and this is her first event, which is fantastic, right? So what happened was I worked nights, weekends, and eventually I started making a little bit of money, but I was getting so much affirmation. That's when you know. That's when you know you're in your genius. It's not necessarily the money. And this was a big lesson that I've learned. Money is not an indicator of success. Okay? You have to look at the world as this concept of abundance. Okay? Which means the opposite of lack. The opposite of scarcity. Scarcity and lack mentality is based in fear. It means that things are going to run out. There's not enough for me. No matter what I do, I'm going to fail. It's all of the negative thinking. The opposite of that is abundance. It's the understanding that it's about a holistic lifestyle abundance. You know, if you want to be happy in life, you have to work on your insides. And as a result of you working on your insides, the outside will reflect that. That's where that manifestation comes in. You hear the power of the secret or whatever. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in it, but you have to take action. Okay? You want to have a certain life. You have to vision it, you have to believe it's possible, but you also have to align yourself with that by taking action to get yourself right. So I left my job, I came home and told my husband I'm never going back. And luckily he said go for it. So that's about 4 years ago. So I became the vice president of the Certified Coaches Federation, which is the company that I became a coach with. And so I watched my mentor teach me in the course. And I was like, I can do that. I love him, Derek. But I was like looking at him and I was like, he's good, but I think I could do that. And so that's how Danielle and I know. And now I train people to become coaches. So any of you who are thinking, this is really interesting, I never even thought about that, or I've been dying to become a coach, I didn't know how, or whatever, let's communicate later about that. If you work with an organization or a nonprofit or a company, I also do executive coaching, so I train all the managers and supervisors and all that stuff. And you could do that too. When you become a coach, you basically go back to that list of what have I been through, who can I serve? I can serve people who are like me, and that's what I do. So what I ended up creating was Empowering Women Every Day, which is my women's community, which I'm going to invite you all to join. It's totally free. It's just a Facebook support group, but it's like the real deal. We have 700 women from around the world in it, and it's no promotion. It's not about business. It's about, like I posted the other day, I was like, is anybody else's man tripping? Because something's going on with the planets. My nice little husband is all of a sudden going crazy. I wrote my book, A Woman's Guide to Having It All, Life Lessons to Live By, which is in the back. If you want to buy it, you can. It's also one of the auction items. So I don't know if anybody bid on it, but it's really good. It has 30 life lessons in it, so it's a coaching manual. It's taking you through everything that I learned, that I've been through, that I think are universal truths that help people. And it helps you figure out your path. So if you're like, I don't know where to begin, hey, for like $10 or bid on it, this is a really powerful tool. Community building. So I started empowering women every day, and then out of that I created what I wanted, which was an event that I could offer, because I live in South Central Los Angeles by choice. Again, it's a privilege. I chose to live there. I don't have to live there, but I love it there, and I love my community. But I see women every day that are not like me. They're like me in terms of we're connected as women, but they're not like me in terms of the privilege that I have. They're not like me in terms of the circumstances of my life. And so I try to be involved in my community, but I find, like, if I talk to them and they're like, oh, you're a coach, I'd love to work with you, obviously my rates and anything that I do is not affordable for that community. So I started to realize, that's part of why I wrote my book. That's part of why I created my online community, because I'm like, I need some cool stuff to offer to people that have $20 or have $30 but can't do 100, 1,000, 5,000, whatever. So with that, I created Women's Night Out. Women's Night Out is $25 to $50 maximum. And that is a night where I was like, all women can come, whoever they are. These ladies have been, a lot of the ladies have been. And it's basically personal, professional, spiritual, networking. But again, it's not a business pushy thing. It's a support group. It's women coming together just like this. But if you imagine like a third of us sitting together all night and just being like drinking wine and letting it go and telling each other all of our stuff that we're going through and all the support that we need. So it's a magical night. But that's what I created as an extension of my gifts, right? As an extension of what I feel my purpose is. Then I got into this thing about soulful business alchemy, and for the spiritual soulful entrepreneur. So I started my online coaching program. So those who are entrepreneurs, eventually get to the point where you want to start creating products and services and doing stuff online and reaching women all around the world, and it's really cool. So I created my first coaching program, and I threw it up there, and it was really, luckily, very successful. And my mentor, who helped me figure out how to do it, said, oh, well, you invested that money, we created this product, you've had a lot of success with it, now let's up the ante, double down, triple down, quadruple down, $10,000, invest $10,000, fly out to Australia, work with me, and we're gonna take everything up, to the 10th power. Sounds really good. So I'm like, okay, no problem. I don't know where I got the $10,000, but here you go. So I travel all around the world. I get out there. I realize I'm totally out of alignment. I had lost my way, where everything that I had done had been in alignment. I had been checking myself the whole time. It's like, and I was telling some of the other ladies at lunch this, is ask yourself this question about everything in your life. Is it mine? Is it mine? Think about your relationships. Think about your job. Think about your hobbies. Is it mine? Meaning, are you doing what you're called to do, or are you doing what you're being influenced from other people to do? So for me, I was so seduced by my mentor telling me she was going to make all this money and take my business to the next level, that I didn't pay attention that we were getting out of alignment, and what she was wanting me to create was not authentic to me anymore. And so I threw it out there into the world and realized, I don't even like this. And no wonder nobody's signing up for anything, and no wonder this, it's not good. It's not me. So I scrapped the whole thing. And then the whole last summer, for 4 months, I did not create anything. I went back to the basics, which are the stuff that I was talking to you guys about self-care, soulful practices, whatever that looks like to you. Create an altar. This is one of my favorite things. Create an altar. That could be a table. It doesn't have to be religious. It means take some beautiful things in your house that you like, your favorite candle, a rock from your backyard, your kids' pictures, some flowers, whatever. Sit at it, look at it, do your little spiritual work, your journaling, your intention setting, whatever it is. I got back to the basics that I had, put on the back burner because I was like, I need to hustle, build my business. I put all that stuff out. So when I got back to the basics for the last 4 months, I realized that program I threw out there that was really successful was really, really good. But I'm going to take it up the next notch on my own terms. I'm going to make it mine by now making sure that all the components that I'm teaching in it, not only is it all about business and setting up your online business and offerings, but I'm going to teach them what I learned, which was it's no good and it's not sustainable if you're not using your soulful self-care practices and integrating it all into your work. So for you guys, make sure that whatever you're creating is not just money motivated, is not just success motivated, but is motivated by this alignment, this listening to the whispers. So in my book, these are some of the key life lessons. I'm just going to whip through them really quickly here, which is you are worthy, okay? It's not that profound. You are worthy. You are good enough. You have everything that you need. You don't need to change anything. Right here in this moment, you are good enough. You are worthy to have an amazing life. You don't have to change. You don't have to look any differently. You don't have to make any more money. Life, you are worthy. You're here. I also will send you a 28-day Be Your Best Self, Create a Better World action plan. So this will take you step by step for the next 28 days, making a plan as if we were working together, but we're not. But it's my gift to you, and it will provide structure and accountability for you. So I'll give you one email, which is an overview of the next 28 days and the specific steps to take. And then each week you'll get an email from me that will say, okay, for week 1, here's what you should be working on this week. In week 2, this is what you should be working on, so and so and so. Was there anything else? 3 things? Hold on. Oh, and if you email me, I can add you to the Facebook community. So if you're jiving with me, if you like what I'm talking about, if you like Danielle, and a lot of the ladies in the room who are already part of the community, hit me up, send me an email, because I will add you into the group, and that's a place, I don't want you to feel alone. Nobody needs to feel alone, because you're not. You're loved, you're held, and there's a place for you to go. So make sure you bid in the back. And the last thing was, if you are interested in becoming a coach, or you want to know more about coaching, I'm going to be around. We're going to be drinking later. We can talk about it over that. Or you can email me and say, in that email, I'll send you all the free stuff, but also say, hey, I want to know more about coaching. Here's my phone number. And I personally will call. We'll talk as long as you want to. We can go all the way through. I can tell you how much money you'll make and how to get started and all that good stuff. And I did give you, most of you, a course summary. So if you're interested in knowing what's it about, that's all there. Any questions, any comments, any feedback? A coach is ready to give you some help. Don't be shy. All right. All right, well, if it was good, give me some love.